Welcome into a brand new episode of Tribal Council Chat. As always, we are your hosts. My name is Bruce Heller, but that is not my typical co-host in the window next to me.
No, it's not as always because I am not Brett Parnell.
Well, I am, as always, I'm still here,
But you
unfortunately,
said
for the
we
audience.
we are as always, is what
Oh,
you
well,
said.
I'm used to always opening with the same line. Don't
I
question the
know,
magic.
I get it. Yeah, it's me, not your normal guy.
You do have an actual name of your own, though, you might tell the people.
Oh, sorry. My name's Kevin Oliver. I cover Amazing Race and traders on the Reality Realm. I also make all of our draft graphics.
Yeah, so we are covering episode 8 of Survivor 40, not 49,
No,
50.
we're not. I was gonna say.
No, we actually are. This is just a random flashback recap covering a
Oh,
random episode of 49, inexplicably.
that's crazy.
I'd listen to that.
Of course you would. You'd
Not
listen.
not
You.
us doing it. I
I,
don't like my own voice on recording, but I'd listen to someone else do that.
that's fair. Would you listen to me do it?
Probably.
No, you wouldn't.
Yeah, I probably would, especially if it was you and Brett both. I just hate my own voice on recording. Like
I think that's pretty normal. Yeah.
like podcasts I do or like sermons I preach, I don't go back and watch. I just
Mm.
hate my voice on recording. I'll watch the sermons sometimes to like workshop things and see what I can improve on, but it's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
super common.
Right.
Also, I preached it and wrote it. I don't need to listen to it another time.
But sometimes it's helpful
Yeah,
um with like mannerisms and like
yeah.
you
Sometimes
need to
if
look
I'm
up.
looking at delivery, I'll watch it on mute, to be honest.
That's fine. Yeah.
But like the podcasts, I don't listen to episodes. What I do is I go on Apple Podcasts and they have this little button that says mark as played. So it still counts for our numbers, I assume, but I don't actually listen to it.
I only listen sometimes if it's like a special one that my mom wants to listen to or something.
Yeah.
I'll put it on in the car, but usually I don't either.
So now that we've covered our voices on recording to lead off the show,
Yeah, Brett's gonna love this.
oh, it's I only get sidetracked with you slightly more than I get sidetracked with him. But overall thoughts on the episode?
Okay. Um, I think it was an entertaining episode. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Didn't love it in terms of my draft team. Um, also didn't love the idea of the twist. We can talk about that later or
Yeah.
now, if you, whether wherever you have it planned or whatever.
Probably
But
just when it comes up in the episode once we're doing
okay.
the recap.
Yep, we can do that. But it was fun. I enjoyed watching it. But as a Survivor fan, there's always things that we can pick apart, and I think that comes back to what Aubrey quoted War Dog at Tribal. Um,
I love that so much. I did
yeah,
not have War Dog reference on my bingo card for this season.
but it might be the smartest thing he ever said. The twist, the game is not on trial; it's the players.
I
Um,
yeah.
and so we can complain and want whatever we want whenever we want. But this is what they signed up for. This is what we signed up for in terms of we wanted our returning players back. Obviously, the casual fans outrule the smaller majority. We wanted dynamic twists is what we're getting, and we just got to roll with the punches. And I'll tell you what, bad Survivor is still better than
I
most
will say, and
good other things. So
I'll say this again when it comes up, but I'll say this because you mentioned the vote. Can he stop putting all this on the fans for every twist? Like, oh, the
no,
fans chose this. No, I feel like when fans voted for a lot of twists, they voted on like twists we've seen before, a regular twist. Not all these like. Well, this one's kind of crazy and outlandish. Blood Moon, I maintain, was nothing new, but
Oh, Blood Moon. If you want to bring up Blood Moon, can I talk about my theory before we break into this episode?
yeah, but that's not a new twist. They just changed it from 2 to 3. That's all. But what were
Okay.
you gonna say?
I wanted to mention before we get into this episode my Blood Moon theory because nobody's been giving me any kind of feedback on it. Um, so my idea is we still have three tribal councils. We still have three people go home. We still do all of that the same. The difference is the people who aren't a part of that tribal council are at tribal council. They're on the bench and like a jury bench, and they're watching the tribal council happen. And the tribal council, through the majority of it, plays out like it would. But when Jeff says it's time to vote, the people sitting on the bench plus the immunity winner are the ones voting, and those on trial aren't actually voting.
Yeah.
I think that fixes a lot of problems that people had with the Blood Moon, which was we're putting our whole fate into a random rock draw. I think this is a way to still be different and still be like an emergent move, but in a way that still is compelling and reflects the game you've played not or this far, not just which reflecting which rock you drew.
Yeah, I like your idea better than what we got. But also, I just want to remind the people that are complaining so much. This twist is kind of a new era staple where we merged and we draw rocks into random groups and go to separate tribals. This is not a new concept. The only difference is it's 3 instead of 2. Why is the complaining so much louder about the rock draw this time? This is a new era staple, honestly.
I think it was probably because, well, for one, who went home, but also um, how that random rock, like, I feel like that random rock draw has never had such a alliance shifting in, like, alliance impact as it did
Yeah.
in the Genevieve one. Plus, when they do that rock draw, there's usually at least one more person in each group.
My thing is, if you're gonna do 3 tribals, just keep the 3 tribes you had and merge in the next episode. That seems like the simplest thing here.
Right.
I
But they wanted to break the record, Bruce.
it was kind of, I don't hate it, but it was kind of pointless. Like
They
it wasn't
wanted
that exciting. It didn't really. It was overhyped. But my thing is, the reason I brought it up, we had Blood Moon, we've had this, and he's like, hey, the fans wanted this, and I feel like that's like, no, not quite. If we had known this is what was coming, people probably would have voted differently.
I
But
still don't think they would have because the thing is the voting is not you and me.
it's the
The
COVID era and the new era fans and the
it,
casuals.
it's the casuals. That's where these votes are coming from.
Oh, and I'm not even limiting it to casuals. A lot of fans came in during COVID and only know the new era, but are super into it. This is just what they're used to.
Well, keep
But
in
like,
mind,
I feel like him continuously saying, "Oh, the fans wanted this," is in like knowing this will be unpopular with a lot of people and shifting the blame off of him in production that came up with these twists.
which is probably part of what's going through his mind.
I don't even mind this twist, honestly, but
I do
I don't love it, but I don't hate it.
for reasons it's whatever. But yeah, that's kind
So
of where I stand on it.
before we dive into the recap, Brett and I have been doing a much better job keeping up with the draft and updating that each week. I have a reminder on my phone now set to go off every Friday to post the draft update graphic online.
Mhm.
But you are who actually keeps track of the draft and makes those graphics and keeps track of score for us. So go ahead with our update.
Okay, so I did. I don't know if I don't know if Brett's gonna like this or not. I did score Chrissy and Coach based on the order that Jeff snuffed their torches. They didn't get the same placement. Um, so Chrissy obviously goes out in 13th here, coach in 12th. And so what that does is it really screwed me over. Basically, where it comes down to now is Bruce, you have a score of 17 and a half.
Not terrible.
Steve,
You and Steve are dead at this point.
yeah, I'll get there. Steve has a score of 19.67.
We both did the hand thing and didn't say anything. Shout out to the audio audience for that one.
Yeah, for real. All right, Heather has a score of 19. Kyle has a score of 13.5. Brett has a score of 22, and I have a score of 17.67. Um, and so that's the current spots where we are. But here's the thing. Steve and I are officially eliminated.
Yeah.
Um, I did the math. Our best case scenarios are both lower than Kyle, who is in the best spot currently. It's worst case scenario. You might
Wait,
not
he's
think,
in the best spot even though someone else has less people gone?
yeah, because here's the thing. Um, Kyle right now, he has the best, or he has the best worst case scenario is why I say he's in the best spot.
It took him the longest to lose someone.
It did, but the lowest he could score is 48 points, which would equal down to 12 average. Like our point, it'd be 12. Um, uh, that's the lowest he could score at this point. Brett, or and the highest he could score, I should say, is 7.5, 7.5. Brett, the highest he could score is 7. So technically he has a little bit better of a chance, but that would require him to have all three of the final three.
Hmm.
This would require Kyle, of course, to have the final two both to do the 7.5. But um, Brett's worst is worse than Kyle's worst and barely better than his better. So that's why I say Kyle's in a better spot.
That's fair.
He, I mean, Brett's only lost one person and he's got a score of 22. Kyle's lost two and he's got a score of 13 and a half. So, um,
Easy.
his two people that went out are 12th place and 15th place. That's 27, while Brett's one person was 22. So Kyle's only 5 placement spots higher after losing two people.
Okay.
So I would say Kyle's still in the best spot, but
So how am I doing?
you, yeah. So you, like I said, you are 17 and a half is your current point. The best case scenario that you could end up with would be 9.67. The lowest you could do if you lost the next two people, your lowest possible score would put you at 28. Not 28. Why did I say 28? Divided by 4, not 2. 28, 14.
Okay.
So the worst you could do is 14. The best you can do is 9.67.
So I'm still in the running, but I'm
You're
definitely
in the
the third
running.
horse in the race here.
You are in the running, and Heather is technically still in the running.
Yes, but the two people she has left are two people whose names were thrown around constantly this week, and one of them put a much bigger target on himself. So come back next week and see if she's still in it or not.
To be honest, I had every hope, not every thought, like I didn't think it was going to happen, but all of my hope was that she was going to be completely knocked out this week.
Yeah.
But that did not happen.
I need I need Brett to lose someone soon, and I need Kyle to lose someone somewhat soon.
Yes.
The good thing is, I feel fairly good about the two people I have. Right.
Yeah. I do as well.
Stephanie is on kind of shaky ground. The tide might be turning against her alliance, but her name isn't coming up. So,
I think Stephanie is probably the safest person in the hardworking slash Zoom alliance.
yeah, whatever it is. I did send Kyle a text right after the episode last night, though. Messenger, but text, same thing. I'm like, this is probably the only time you're going to be happy to lose someone from your team. And I was right. He was not sad to lose coach. And after last week, I was happy. I came in wanting to see coach go home. So this episode went swimmingly for me.
Right.
One of the people ahead of me lost someone. And the one person in the draft that me and this person have both said, if we can't win, we just want to beat the other person, also lost someone and was eliminated. So, draft wise, this episode went swimmingly for me. My
Hey, I'm
rooting
just gonna.
interest with Emily was fairly served well. She's who I'm rooting for now that D is gone. So,
Yeah.
fun episode for me. You could still beat me if I lose the next two people, but
If you lose the next two, I still have to have Tiff in the final to beat you.
oh well, that feels great. I beat you twice in a row. So looking like I don't want to say it because then that's exactly what's going to happen. But
That would be funny.
I wouldn't even be mad, honestly. That,
Yeah.
but diving into the recap,
Wait, do you still do player of the week?
I forgot about the. We brought it back the week before last, and then we forgot to do it again last week. So yeah, let's do that.
Okay, you go first.
Hmm. I'm gonna go with Suri here because Ozzy was leaning towards sending home Aubrey and Rizzo because he thought that's what she would want. She came back and put the nail in Coach's coffin.
Aubrey and Devin, not Devon's, not Aubrey and Rizzo.
Yeah, Ozzy, Rizzo, and
No, Aubrey
Aubrey and
and
I
Devon's.
can picture them in my head. It's just saying the right thing. Words are hard.
Words are hard. Yeah, I mean, Suri would have been my pick. Um, and now I don't know if you still aren't willing to admit it. Suri is running this game. She has been for weeks.
It's just mystifying to me because what I came into the season saying is what all the players have said in confessionals, yet no one's acting on it.
Right. I just remember that you and I kind of but we're butting heads about
I,
the Suri versus D thing a
I'd
couple weeks
still be
ago.
shocked if she makes it to the end, but
Me too. But I just mean up to this point, she's made almost every decision.
if they let, I still don't agree with that. But she made the decision this week.
She's made almost every decision.
We don't have to go down that rabbit hole again.
Well, I mean,
We're not going to agree.
the audience hasn't ever been down that rabbit hole.
That's fine. They don't need that. But
It's true.
you didn't name a person.
What?
You didn't name a person.
Do you want me to name a person?
That's how this works. Yes.
Okay, I thought. Oh, sorry. You want my player of the week?
Yes.
I thought you meant you didn't. I thought you were wanting me to name a person that she's orchestrated a vote against because I was just going to go off on you for a second.
No, I just don't feel like having the same argument again. But
that's fair. So I would have said Suri as well, but for the sake of being different, I am going to go different here. And what was that about?
there's a soda can on my recording desk from the last time I was in here, apparently, that's empty. And there's been a pen in my hand.
Yeah, but why'd you stab it?
Do I need a reason? I kind of just let the intrusive thought win, honestly.
Okay. No,
Look
I'm
at
going
the
to
hole
go.
it made.
Yeah, that's a pretty big hole. I'm going to go with Rick Devens.
Shout out to the ASMR audience.
You wanted me to pick a player, now you're not letting me pick a player.
No, go ahead.
I'm going with Rick Devens
Nice.
as my player of the week. Because we finally saw the payoff of his fake idol that he planted.
which
We
was
we also
fantastic.
saw a lot of good stuff content wise from him, but I really liked um how he knew that Aubrey would be mad if he didn't play what everybody thought was a real idol, and he in the moment worked that out with her, and it can't be played now stuff. Like he made up another lie about that. So I really like how, even though I don't think he was ever actually gonna go home, that he reinforced safety in that way.
Yeah, and I will say he put a much bigger target on himself with that now. But it was a great move. He did what he needed to do to stay there this week, which is
Well,
like,
I don't know that I agree with that because I don't think that he was going to get the votes to go home anyway.
okay, well, in that case, he put a bigger target on his back for no reason then.
Yes, but if if he did, because we just watched a season where somebody made it all the way to the final five the last time to play their idol, dangling an idol for 8 or 9 tribals in a row.
Yeah, I will say, Jonathan, I had my Jonathan eye roll at Tribal when Rick's like, "Oh, you can tell what the alliances are and who was gonna vote for who now." But well, Jonathan just goes, "Yeah, you showed your true colors here also." Like, you're
Yep,
trying to vote for him. What did you think was gonna happen? Like, what? I don't know what Jonathan wanted from Rick or why he was upset with Rick there, but Jonathan.
right, right.
I kind of just roll my eyes at him once a week for some reason now, and I liked him his first season.
And I didn't like him his first season. I actually like him more now than I did then.
I think we're getting him in bigger doses, which is why he's slightly more irritating to me. But he's basically still the same person. So,
Yeah. Well, I'll talk about that in a little bit too.
but speaking of Jonathan, our recap starts with him telling Coach to lay low, and I wrote down, I'm not sure he's capable of that. And it turns out this was not the last time Coach would be told this episode.
Right. But it was kind of interesting because Coach did agree not to run the vote for this episode, and he didn't.
Nah, correct.
Um,
He actually did lay low. He spent basically the whole episode off in a hammock by himself after Chrissy told him the same thing.
yeah. He also called himself the ultimate shield here at the beginning,
No.
which also from this opening scene though, Tiffany, we saw a lot of Tiffany. May I say, this episode was the coming out party for Tiffany's Survivor 50 journey, and
Yeah.
I'm here for it, man. Uh, Huge Tiffany fan over here. Um, she was very level-headed. I felt that she handled uh, Dee being voted out about as best as she could
Yeah, for sure.
in this episode. But you were talking about Jonathan um, telling Coach to lay low, and this is in my notes. I'll go to bat for this. It's actually in complete contrast to what you just said that he's basically the same person. I don't think so. I think Jonathan's actually showing us that he understands that this is more than a physical game, and that is not
It's
something we
true.
saw in 42.
This is the first we're seeing of that, so it didn't register with me right away. But you're
Well,
right.
I'm not sure that's necessarily the case. Last week when he was when him and Dee were having that fight, we get a confessional from him saying that he was just trying to rile her up.
But that to me that shows that doesn't shows the opposite of an understanding of the game. Because you're sending someone to the jury, and from what I've heard, like exit press and stuff, at that point they knew she was the vote. And you're purposely antagonizing someone to get a reaction out of them that's gonna be on the jury. You really think they're gonna vote for you when you're doing that?
I
I,
don't think he was counting on Dee to ever vote for him though. There's some
it
things
doesn't show great jury management skills from him.
no, but it shows that he thinks about more than a physical game. That's kind of where I'm going with this.
Yeah,
Because we've seen people over and over throughout all of Survivor history not have good jury management skills and still play what is
Yeah.
arguably a good game. What about Boston Rob? Every time, even in 22 when he won, he had terrible jury management. Russell Hans has always had terrible jury management. We still regard these people as good players,
Yeah.
even if their jury management's bad. I'm not saying that I regard Jonathan as any kind of close to that level, but just because his jury management might not be the most on point, I don't think that disqualifies him from still
Yeah.
playing the game a little bit more than just eating 12 eggs and running a challenge and then napping the rest of the day.
Our next scene we see is Chrissy and Steph. They're talking about numbers they have and how they believe they have an alliance. It's them and Jonathan and Joe and Suri. And my note was,
And Ozzy.
and Ozzy. And my note was, I'm not sure they actually have Suri. And I didn't hear Ozzy, but they don't have him either.
Right, yeah. No, she said that they had Ozzy and Suri,
They
but
don't.
there's no way they do.
Yeah.
Um,
They're miscalculating that by a lot.
Absolutely. But Ozzy and Suri are also playing into that. And that's a wonderful move for their game. For the Suri's Wizard of Oz.
I love that she actually posted that on Instagram last week, which is hilarious.
Right.
That
Evidently uh evidently Liz God was on TikTok saying that she's called Rizzo Wizard of Oz forever. And so uh they just took that right out of her playbook.
nice. My next note is like we see Ozzy and Stephanie. Speaking of walking through the woods, they're kind of talking, planning, and Ozzy tells us that this is another new Ozzy thing. That Coach is on his hit list, but right now he has to play nice with Coach so that Coach stays comfortable.
That was Ozzy and Stephanie?
Ozzy was walking through Stephanie with the woods before that. Then we cut to an Ozzy confessional where he says that.
I thought he was with Tiffany.
It's been a day. I don't. That's what's in my notes, and I wrote it down as I was watching. I could be wrong. That,
Okay, because what I have here was that right around this time, Ozzy was talking to Tiffany about how he wanted to work with her and how he wanted to serve up Coach's head on a silver platter.
yeah, I
And then
think that's a. I think that
that's
was. I think.
that was at this time.
Yeah, I think these were back-to-back scenes. We saw him talking to Stephanie a little bit, then we got the Tiffany thing,
Oh,
and I might have just forgotten to write the Tiffany thing down.
and then I have a quote from him actually that he says, "And then we can dragon slay that ass."
Heyo. But this is
uh,
smart. Ozzy realizing he needs to pretend to play nice
yeah.
and not just openly hate Coach is smart.
Yeah, and then he's actually discussing strategy with somebody besides Sari. It's kind of wild
I
because
didn't
he
know he
tells
was
Tiff,
able to talk to anyone other than Suri. I thought
I
that was one of
know,
the rules of the game that he could only talk to one person.
I know. But he tells Tiff that they need to go after the people that are in the middle. And it was at this point that I said, I have a feeling this is going to be a landslide vote. But I did not realize that we were voting for two people at once at that point. I thought we were going to have a landslide vote and Christian Hubicki was going to go on
Yeah.
to the jury.
And so we have a note come to camp, and it tells us that we have to divide into 6 pairs. And since there's 13, one person will not be chosen. And the people who are interested in being the one oddball, they draw rocks, or in this case, draw a shot in the darks that have their name on it.
Yeah, and that was Aubrey, Cerie, Devins, and Chrissy.
And Cerie's name gets pulled because, of course, it does.
Yeah.
And so she does not have a partner. I have some fun quotes from the partnering up.
Okay.
Christian said, Jonathan put a hand on my shoulder and said, Fee, fi, fo, fum, I want you on my team. And when a giant wants you, you don't refuse. The brochachos are back. And
I did write the brochachas.
my note was, I'm mad at Jonathan from last week, but I love a good brochachos reference. Aubrey and Devins are paired up because, of course, we have season 38 making a comeback. And so, yeah, and then those are my
Did,
coupling up notes. I do have
did
a
you
coach. Yeah.
did you make note of the all six pairs? Because I
Oh,
did. If you don't,
oh,
let
good.
me say. So it's Jonathan and Christian, obviously, like you said, Aubrey and Devons, as you said, but it's also Chrissy and Coach, Ozzy and Stephanie, Joe and Tiff, and Rizzo and Emily. Those are the six groups.
Nice.
Yeah, and right when you're talking about the brochachas and stuff, we also have a couple different confessionals of people telling us who they want to go after. Jonathan wants Devon's out, and Coach is afraid of Tiffany.
Yeah. And speaking of, my next note is from a Coach Tiffany conversation.
Yeah,
That is basically the same thing as the Coach D conversation we had a couple weeks ago,
where he lies
where
and
he
doesn't
gets
know how to
caught
answer.
lying in by one question and doesn't answer the question.
How does he not think that stuff through?
Because literally, he comes here and lies and says, I wasn't the one pushing for your name to be written down. I was pushing for Emily instead of you. And she just goes, okay, well, who was pushing for me then? And he kind of just gets up and walks away.
Yep.
This is the same thing that happened when D caught him lying last, like episode before last.
Mm-hmm.
Why did he try this again? It worked terribly last time.
Well, here's the thing. If you're gonna lie, at least come up with the believable story. Like, of course, that's gonna be the first question somebody asks. Well, if it wasn't you, then who? Like,
Kevin, you are very good looking and very tall. See, I practiced.
are you blind?
I was practicing lying.
Okay. But
The
that's not
joke,
what I meant
the
by
joke
that.
didn't land like I thought it did. It would.
No, I heard it and I understood you were trying to practice lying, but I didn't want to feed into that.
Darn.
And I also it didn't make me laugh. Sorry.
It made me laugh.
You didn't laugh.
I laughed in my head.
Sure.
All a joke needs to be considered funny is for one person to laugh. It doesn't matter who the one person is.
But you can't even prove that one person laughed. You can't prove that you laughed in your head.
I'm counting it.
I'm not.
Cool, I didn't ask.
Cool. I didn't ask for permission either.
And so we go to the challenge where we have another twist, and we kind of talked about it a little bit.
Double duo.
We will win as pairs and lose as pairs and vote as individuals and be eliminated as pairs. My note on this was my opinion on this will probably depend on who goes home. If it's Coach and Chrissy, I'll be fine with it. If it's Rizzo and Emily, I will rail against it when we record. It's just kind of what happened. Coach and Chrissy went home, so I kind of don't care. I don't love
What'd
it.
you say at the end?
I don't mind the twist. I don't love it. If someone I like had gone home, I'd be railing against it, but eh. You look confused.
Yeah, because you keep freezing.
Okay, what was the last thing you heard?
I don't mind if somebody went home.
Uh, my what I wrote down when he revealed this twist. My opinion on the twist will depend on who goes home.
Yeah, I heard that.
Coach and Chrissy went home, so I kind of don't care. I don't love the twist. Oh, now you're frozen. Oh, this sucks. Uh, okay. Well, Kevin's frozen. I don't. I get. Oh, you're back. You froze.
You froze too.
Basically, I don't care. I'm not. I don't really mind the twist because someone I like didn't go home. So
yeah.
I don't love it, but I'm not gonna
So
rail against it.
here's my problem. I don't like the idea, no matter who it is. I don't like the idea that one like that you can go home because of how everybody else views somebody else.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't think that's fair at all. And the fact that they didn't know ahead of time what they were doing in a pair up, because pairing up is not new.
No.
I don't like if they would know, all right, that both of you would be going home beforehand and could make a strategic decision, I wouldn't mind it as much.
Yeah.
But for the fact that Chrissy went home because of how people view Coach, that bothers me.
It's not like
Because
people really liked her or were itching to keep her around either, though.
no, but it's not like
Like
they were
they
itching.
were jumping at the idea to get rid of both of them.
But they were not itching. But like if this would have been a normal vote, nobody's throwing Chrissy's name out.
I mean, maybe not. Her name's been thrown out a couple. Suri even said,
When?
"When do we get another chance to get rid of both of them?"
I know,
People wanted Chrissy out.
but when else have you had Chrissy's name thrown out?
If her tribe had gone to tribal pre-swap, she was gone. That's been established.
Pre-swap, yes.
And I don't remember when. Her name has come up another time.
It came up at the Blood Moon, but Jonathan was never going to vote against her.
I'm just saying, people wanted her out. Like, it's not like she's this martyr that, like, they wanted both of them out. It wasn't just,
well,
we
to be
want
fair,
Coach out so Chrissy suffers too.
To be fair, you want everybody out. You want to win.
Yeah, but you're making it out like, oh, Chrissy's this innocent victim. Like, people wanted her out too. It wasn't just that they wanted Coach out.
But all I'm saying is, if we're sitting at tribal and there's 13 of us, there's at least 5 people that are getting talked about as the vote before Chrissy.
I mean, fair. I don't feel like she got screwed over that much, honestly.
I never claimed that it was screwed over. I just
It's
don't
weird
like
that you're the one defending her here. I'm going to clip this and record it and keep it on my desktop.
I am not. I would argue this no matter who.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea that your game is not your game anymore. Your game is now you plus somebody else's game.
Yeah. I will say, I was on Twitter during the episode. One of your favorite people to follow and quote to me, Mike Bloom. Very big fan of this twist.
Really?
I'm scrolling his Twitter. Good Lord, he's posted a lot on Twitter lately.
Mike Bloom posts a lot always.
Okay, here we go. I think this double duo. I guess they did it on Survivor South Africa too.
Oh, okay.
I think this double duo twist on Survivor 50 made some good improvements on the Tide Destinies version from South Africa. Pairs were chosen rather than drawn randomly, and voting for a pair makes sure you get a scenario where one person is voted out and the other happens to go as well, which someone pointed out that didn't make a ton of sense. And apparently what he meant with that was the South Africa version, you were still only voting for one person, and that person's pair went home. So they improved on that. I thought he talked about it again on here. But yeah, from what I remember reading last night, he was a fan of this twist.
Right. I guess my biggest thing is Chrissy. Yes, people didn't love Chrissy, but she was not going to go home on her own anytime soon. I don't think.
Maybe,
because
maybe not. I don't.
She got annoyed, or people got annoyed by her. Nobody's going to give her $1 million. I would take her and sit in the final 3.
Yeah.
She got annoying, but she was never near as annoying as Coach. I think people are voting out Coach before her. I think people are voting Christian Hubicki out before her. I think people are voting Rick Devens out before her, for sure.
I wanted her voted out anyway, so I kind of just don't care whether she goes now or 3 episodes from now.
Yeah,
it's works better for what I want to happen.
Oh, I know. I get that. I was just pushing back because
you
pushed back on what I said.
Another funny Mike Bloom tweet though is Chrissy said she doesn't like people feeling like she's too much of a mom to them. And then also Chrissy, coach, you're grounded. I see his. I didn't realize until scrolling through his feed how much he posts on Twitter.
Yeah.
This is a lot. But going back into the recap, we're at the challenge. And this is my note. Can Probe stop putting all the blame on the fans for production ideas? And
Mm.
like shifting the blame to us when people don't like the twist and say, oh, the fans chose this. I doubt when people were voting in favor of twist, they had pair eliminations in mind.
Right.
Like he has
Absolutely.
taken not him specifically. Production has taken fans saying we like twists to a kind of extreme level and saying, "Oh, the fans chose this. This wasn't us. The vote did this. Stop blaming us. You still chose to be outlandish."
Fair enough.
But so that's just my note on. And again, I don't even hate this twist. I think it can be improved on, but I think it's kind of interesting. It,
Yeah.
I'll take it over the hourglass. I'll take it over Palau when two people showed up to the island and then immediately had to leave because they didn't get picked and didn't get
Mm.
to play. Like this twist is fine. It's just weird. I don't know how they decided who got their torch snuffed first. By the way, I'd like to know that.
They wanted they wanted to give coaches flowers, man.
It's okay. I mean, I was gonna say it's okay with me because the person on your team got the lower placement, but it would have you are still dead either way. It would have been better for me if Kyle got the lower placement.
Correct.
I win and I lose either way there. But the
Right.
way this challenge works,
Hang on. Before you get to the actual challenge, did you mention that Cerise going to exile and not doing the challenge?
no, I somehow forgot to write that down.
Um, so they say, Cerise, you don't have immunity, but you can't get voted out. So yeah, Cerise, you kind of do have immunity. That was my note.
And so, yeah, that's a good catch. The way it works is you throw a ball onto an overhead track, you run through a couple obstacles, you catch it, and then one partner balances the ball on a paddle and then turns and hands it to the first partner. And they do this down this like stairs cascading platform thingies. And then you land the ball in a net and then you build a bridge puzzle plank by plank.
Mm-hmm.
And the top three teams compete in a second challenge where this ball is in a cage and each team member has a little paddle on a stick that's a smaller version of the thing from earlier. And they get that ball out of the cage. Then they do the tilty table maze from the second edge return challenge in Winners at War, but they have to land two balls. And the first team to
Mm-hmm.
complete the second challenge wins immunity.
Yeah. And the first thing I learned is good thing that coach was a soccer coach and not a basketball coach.
It
That was rough.
was funny.
But Tiffin, Joe, Stephanie, and Ozzy, and Aubrey and Devins were the three that finished first and got to go to the other one.
Yeah.
And then Joe and Tiff went from last to first on the second challenge to win immunity. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. Tiffany and Joe won immunity.
Yeah. But then
I
you
was waiting
just,
for you to finish talking, and I was typing something.
I did finish. That's all I said.
Also, we're playing for reward. We get spaghetti, wine, juice, and tiramisu. Which, again, our reward is at camp and not at the sanctuary where good things happen. I like that this is becoming the trend.
Mm-hmm.
And we also learn, and this is key, if one person from a pair plays shot in the dark, that applies to both people in the pair. but they don't both have to play it.
And the same works for an idol.
Yeah.
The idol works for both people.
And this is
Um,
what I have on Exile Island. Suri arrives to 1.5 million coconuts spread across the beach.
my first thing was, yay, actually Exile Island footage, because the last time when Ozzy and Rizzo went to Exile Island, we didn't see shit.
We saw like 10 seconds of them talking in the shelter.
Yeah, 10 seconds.
What would be your thought if you pulled up and saw all these coconuts on the beach, though?
I'd start crying.
Yeah. This is a purely luck based challenge, though.
Yeah, I would be curious to know the allotted amount of time that was given to it.
Until the hourglass runs out.
Yeah, but how long is that?
Well, if I knew that, if I had a more specific answer, I'd give it. That's why I gave the vague answer.
And
It's like when my parents say, "Hey, what do you want to eat for dinner?" and I don't know,
food.
so I say food.
Yeah.
It entertains me. Doesn't entertain them, but I'm gonna keep doing it.
Oh, I believe that.
And so
Um,
Suri learns that she has to complete what they call a simple task and earn the right to cast a vote at tribal council. And this task they're calling simple is, hey, one of these 30 million coconuts on the beach has a griffin
2000.
on, not griffin, has a phoenix on it. Find it.
I mean, to be fair, in the game, like in this task's essence, it is a simple task.
It's simple. It's just yeah. It's
Time consuming,
yeah.
mind boggling, but simple nonetheless. They weren't wrong.
That's true. I
It's not
guess
complex.
I was equating simple and easy in my head, and those aren't always the same thing.
Correct.
Many times they are, but in this case they're not.
Correct.
So Suri is struggling, but she's pushing through. And we get a flashback to the Suri balance beam on Game Changers, which is one of Probst's favorite moments in the history of the show.
I mean, and it wasn't just the balance beam. We got flashback montage of a bunch of different scenes of her time
Yeah,
in the game throughout all of her seasons, including the Eric Reichenbach thing.
yeah.
That was a part of that. It was a lot of Suri moments from the past.
And she finds the Phoenix coconut,
Yes.
which is a coconut with a phoenix on it. It's not a coconut that lives in Phoenix, in case anyone was curious.
How do you know that it doesn't live in Phoenix?
Well,
Maybe it's a coconut on vacation.
true. I feel like it'd have a bit more of a suntan if it was from Phoenix. It looks like kind of a pale coconut.
Maybe it just uses a lot of, or maybe it's like one of those, there's humans that are like, they burn and then they go pale. Like, I feel like you're one of those people.
True. I gotta take a phone call. You keep talking about this.
Okay. So
Hello?
Suri, she was, doing her thing. She finds her coconut. She was looking for it was one of 2,000 coconuts. And prior to her actually finding it, though, I thought there was a really funny scene where she was looking for it, and she was like waddling around. I literally wrote that Cerise's waddling around like an old lady. It was pretty. It was pretty wild. I think it definitely was showing her age, but nonetheless, Cerise is still incredible. Um, I think she's better in challenge and at this game than in the physical forms than she was when she was uh 20
I'm back.
years younger. Oh, finally.
It's just payback for when you do that to me during Pit Stop Pals all the
Yeah,
time.
but this isn't my show.
Oh well, the air conditioner guy called me. I had to answer
Okay.
because my house has been like a bunch of degrees above what I had the thermostat set at still, even though they were just here a week before last. So they're
Oh,
coming back.
fun.
And they were calling me to say, "Hey, we're in Table Grove. We'll be over there after."
Oh, okay.
So I did learn that I like sleeping with the windows in my bedroom open this week, though. It was kind of windy one night, and I woke up in the middle of the night and had a breeze on my face.
Yeah, until it gets really hot, I always sleep with the windows open.
It was like 75 or 6 degrees in my house, and I keep the thermostat set at 69, so I was like sweating.
Yeah,
And then
nice.
the ceiling fan in my room didn't work, so I opened a couple windows.
I mean, I had the ceiling fan in my room on and the window open. I've had that for like last
Fair
3 or 4
enough.
days.
My next note after the coconuts, let me find it. Emily is talking to Christian and Ozzy and points out that Coach and Chrissy aren't taken out tonight. That alliance will have a majority of the votes after tonight.
Yeah. Um, which if you're worried about a majority of votes, my thought was um because TBH, in my opinion, Coach and Chrissy are kind of a couple of goats
Yeah,
at this point. Just vote out a group that is got two people from two different alliances if you're worried about uh them getting the numbers.
yeah.
That was my response. But um it makes sense for Emily to want to go after Coach and Chrissy still.
We also see Rizzo pitch to Ozzy that if Coach and Chrissy are voted out, the floaters have control. But if Ozzy and Rick go home, two floaters are gone. So we're starting to see how people can prioritize things differently,
Yeah.
which is which is interesting to me because I would have guessed Emily and Rizzo to be on the same side of things. So
Well,
they're both tied to. I feel like those two are both tied to Ozzy. Ozzy's tied to Suri. Emily is also tied to Christian, who's tied to Rick. Like that's one side of the game in my mind.
but I don't know that that's how they view it.
Yeah, that's just what I don't know. Maybe that only makes sense to me. I feel like
No,
it's
I
like
think
all
I
those.
think what you're saying makes sense in theory. I just don't know that that's the practical nature of what
Yeah,
them on the island are thinking. Because I think we have this hardworking alliance. So, like still in this one. So I think we had Chris, Jonathan, Stephanie, Chris. I think Chrissy, Jonathan, Stephanie,
oh,
Coach, um, Joe, and I think we have uh, Devens, Emily, Aubrey, Christian. That's 9 people. 13 total. So left over, that gives us Suri, Ozzy, Rizzo, and Tiffany. And both groups think that they have Suri's Wizard of Oz, and then Tiffany's just floating off in space somewhere.
yeah.
That's how I think they view the game.
I will say, you mentioned Tiffany. My next note is we get this scene with her and Joe where Joe is like dead set on working with her now.
They locked in, man.
And we see them bonding a little bit. He decides it's a good idea to reveal that he was one of the people that voted for her last week. I don't know what he has to gain by that exactly. I don't know
Wait,
that that was ever going to be guessed or come out, but you know.
I missed that evidently. I saw Ozzy tell her, but I missed Joe telling
I'm
her.
pretty. Yeah, I have that here. Joe reveals to Tiff he was one of the votes for her last time, and my note right under it is why this wasn't necessary. You probably weren't going to get figured out. And,
Huh. I don't know how I missed that. I
but
just I know that Ozzy admitted that earlier in the episode, but
so we also see her say to us that she wants to keep coaching Chrissy because Coach has rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, and because Chrissy is a control freak.
hmm
I will say, so much of this fandom has, for whatever reason that I don't get, has been loving on Chrissy for years and been like clamoring for her to return. And they finally got what they wanted, and I feel like they're probably disappointed.
well, the thing is, the fans love Chrissy, but nobody that plays with her really likes her.
Yeah,
It's weird.
I just I feel like if and I would have to ask one of them for the people that have been clamoring for her for years and been like they've got to be disappointed by her showing out and the edit she got on this season.
Yeah.
But
Um,
speaking of, my next note is her taming coach saying, "Don't sing, don't do your haikus. If you go home, so do I." So she decides that he's going to spend the rest of the day in the hammock that's off by itself.
yeah. And coach's response is, I can always whisper haikus when or where nobody can hear me.
What is the haiku thing? I just like why of all
And then
the
and then Chrissy said, "Call me the Dragon Slayer Whisperer."
yes, that made me laugh. I'm not even
Um,
a huge fan of hers, but that made me laugh.
Also, I do want to mention
Like,
Chrissy calls out that like she references that Rizzo did his whole idol thing in 49. And my only question was, how the hell did she even know that?
I word has spread about that. There was an episode or two ago where Rizzo and I think it was the Blood Moon episode where Rizzo and Devins were on the same beach. And Devins is like, "Oh, Savannah told us you survived a while having an idol and not playing it." And
Oh,
you know
evidently I
how
missed
word
that moment
spreads,
too.
so if one person knows, everyone knows.
Right. I must have missed that conversation with Devins too.
It was a
Um,
real quick, just little one line he said as they were like getting to know each other. It might have been at a swap even, whenever
yeah.
those two were on the beach. But
They were together on the new Sela on the swap.
I think that was it then. I remember referencing that line on the show though.
But it just felt like she was talking about information that she didn't think other people knew, which obviously if
Yeah.
word spread, other people knew, but it just felt really weird to me. But
No, it is. What is Coach's thing? Why haikus? Like, what is this?
I don't know, but Will Friedle's haiku for coach is still my favorite one.
Do you listen to that episode?
I did.
I haven't listened to every episode of like the Boy Meets World crew covering this. I listened to last week because I'm like, oh my gosh, this, like me and Brett said when we called you, this is the second coachiest episode we've ever seen. Someone
Mm,
who's never seen him before is going to have a hilarious reaction to this. And he did. He said, here's a haiku, go F yourself. So,
yeah.
except he
I
didn't
actually
say the letter like I did. He said the word.
right. I actually have listened to every episode.
I want to go back and listen to when Sesternino was on.
It was good. You should also listen to. They just did an extra special one with a guy named oh, what's his name? Miles something. Miles Nye, and evidently he's a guy that Writer Strong used to take improv classes with. Who now is a consultant stateside on the challenge department.
Nice.
He helps design challenges on stateside.
That's cool.
Yeah. So they just like interviewed him for an hour.
So, we also just, as much as I was salty with Coach last week, he just makes me chuckle sometimes. Like, I still don't like him, but we get this scene of just no one else around at all. Him just laying in his hammock, counting out syllable counts, making haikus. I
Yep.
This makes me laugh. I don't know why haikus are the thing we're obsessed with, but that made me smile. It's just so bizarre.
For the record, the first haiku he did last week was not even in a haiku.
Because the second line was 8 and not 7. It's supposed to be 575.
Yeah.
So, But, so we get Suri coming back to camp now, and Ozzy catches her up on the targets and says he's conflicted, which him and Rizzo had both agreed up to this point, oh, if Suri was here, she'd want to go for Rick and Aubrey. And she goes, "You can take the middle out whenever. When will you get a chance to take out Coach and Chrissy both?" And I put down, I'm glad she came back because Ozzy would have gone the other way, and I want Coach and Chrissy to go home. And I think it was
Yeah.
already kind of leaning that way, but she put the nail in the coffin here by getting Rizzo and Ozzy's votes.
See, I'm not sure. Up to when Sari came back, I really think that Aubrey and Devins were the name.
I think it could have gone either way. I think it was leaning towards Coach, though.
Interesting.
And then she comes back, and all the momentum swung that way.
Yeah. Well, the thing was that Ozzy's like, "Oh, thank goodness you came back," and it's like, so he really doesn't think for himself. But also, it really did show and reinforce this idea that the cards for this game are in Sari's hand. This is Sari's game to lose, not just this week, but the whole game. I still don't think she's gonna win. I think that they're finally gonna catch on. But at this point in the game, this is Sari's game to lose.
Yeah, and I agree. I think she will at some point. I just don't know when. So, but Ozzy doesn't think for himself a ton, but he's trying, which is more than we've ever seen from him before. So, like new Ozzy that's trying to do more than just play the physical game. Like he's fun.
Yeah, I've
I,
enjoyed Ozzy this season.
this is the first season where I actually like him. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
So
which he kind of talked in his preseason that this was going to be what we saw, and he's living up to it.
yeah, we see Rizzo say talking about voting for Coach and Chrissy. He doesn't want to make this move without Joe, but Chrissy is coming for him. So girl, bye, as he put it.
Hmm.
I didn't realize he and Joe were that close to where like I don't want to make this move and not tell Joe.
Right. I I think that it's probably more along the lines of um, Joe's pretty unforgiving.
Yeah,
If you cross him, the red eyes come out. And so I think Rizzo is trying to keep his options open, especially considering Rizzo's new induction into the Four Horsemen.
yeah. And so I love the editing choice here because we always get music on our way to tribal. We just have Coach humming and serenading us on our way to tribal. I I don't know why, but it's bizarre enough it makes me laugh.
Right.
And so we go to tribal, and like you mentioned, we have a War Dog quote. Walmart Tony got referenced.
Before, I'll
And
say it
you
again.
guys here, let me go open the door.
Who's here?
The air conditioner guy.
That was fast. I can't say what I'm going to say till Bruce gets back because that would just really defeat why I'm saying what I'm about to say. So hopefully he does not stretch this out by any means, because really want him to come back in frame like right now. It would be very helpful if he did. Bruce, stop talking to the air conditioning guy, please.
If you need to go to the basement, it's that door over there.
Thanks. I needed to go to the basement.
Oh, that one will. The code is 1309. Hey, not everyone wants to be jumped on.
Okay, I guess we're really gonna have to wait here for a second. If you should take notice, what I'm about to say is referencing one of the pop figures that is on Bruce's wall.
All right, I'm back. Sorry about
Hallelujah.
that. I didn't know they were going to be here so quickly.
I tweeted it. I wrote it in my notes too. As we start tribal, damn D.
Oh, yeah. She was serving looks for sure. She looked hot. I mean, always does, but more so than usual this week.
Yeah, that shower really did something for
Yeah,
her.
but Walmart Tony got referenced, and I was not expecting that.
Mhm.
War Dog just kind of gives me great value Tony vibes. That's where that nickname comes from.
But my favorite thing ever was what happened right after that when Aubrey's quote was, "We're tied to one another right now. We have an umbilical cord." And Evans goes, "I'm the baby."
Yeah. And so he also pulls out the fake idol in front of everyone that he hid forever ago at Tribal.
Yeah.
This is insane. I love this. Jonathan gets up and makes Tribal live and starts talking to Coach. They try to get Christian, of all people, to have Devins prove his idol is real. Christian wants no part of that, and why would he? Devins is his number one. This is just
Also,
chaos.
I thought it was really funny that Riz God went over to Devins and just says, "I just wanted to say 6 of those things, you devil."
Rizzo just fanboying this whole Tribal is great.
It's hilarious.
We have great quote from him. Rick Devins is doing Rick Devins things, and that has raised the stakes, which is accurate.
Yeah. But we did, even though Christian didn't want anything a part of the Devons thing, Stephanie did finally ask him to open his idol, and he told her knowledge is power, so no.
Yeah. And so,
And I do want to mention real quick, the fake idol business, this is inspired stuff.
yeah,
Like from the planting of it and the whole thing back in episode 2 when Christian fell to distract and all that, to the pulling it out this episode, to the whispering to Aubrey and saying, "I can't play it this episode. It's got to be used next time. It's meant to have been found in secret." And all of it really, I think that I think this move opened up Pandora's box for what can happen going forward.
yeah. And so, I totally agree. Devins also, while Jonathan is talking to Coach and to Stephanie, points out how alliances are showing themselves here. And this is where I complained about Jonathan earlier, because in a very, like, annoyed manner, he's just like, yeah, you're showing your true colors too.
Mm-hmm.
How? Like, he pulled out an idol because he knows he's in trouble. What do you want, Jonathan? Do you just want
Mm-hmm.
him to roll over and die? I don't know.
Right.
And I don't like. If you look at Survivor Facebook and Twitter, Jonathan is not super popular. I don't mind him. I just thought that was a weird response from him in that moment. Coach
Right.
plays his shot in the dark and it fails. And once again, I wrote down it fails before Probst actually read the thing. But
Mary Jane.
I was fully prepared to make an annoyed note of course of course it's helpful this time.
Mary Jane.
Yeah,
Last week you couldn't remember who it was.
that's right. I Yeah, I'm actually happy that it was useless this week though.
Right.
So, Coach and Chrissy go home. That's my final note. This was a fun episode of Survivor.
Yeah. And I really did think that Coach bowed out in a pretty respectable way.
Yeah,
He shared up being a healing experience more than what he got was worth more than $1 million.
yeah,
Um, it wasn't a Colby exit, but it was respectable
yeah, for sure.
because Colby's exit, we got to find the joy.
Also, speaking of Coach, every week I I am not on Chat BCC. I mean, I have an account. I needed to clear a bunch of storage on my phone at one point, and I hadn't opened that app in forever, and I had muted it during last season because, like, on non-episode days, it would start blowing up for some reason. But after every episode, I keep seeing screenshots of things Sandra says in the Chat BCC Survivor group,
Yeah.
and I screenshotted one last night. Let me see if I can find it. I don't think I can. Maybe I did. Oh, here it is. He was a fucking nut then, and he's a bigger fucking nut now. But listen, Coach is TV gold. Sandra has no filter, and it's hilarious.
Absolutely.
I just every week I see something she says in that group that makes me laugh, and I might re-download the app, but that app comes with so many notifications.
It
So
does. Um, I do want to mention next time on looks very interesting.
yeah, what was it? I don't remember now.
We Steph's pissed. Tiffany calls Emily a flip flop. Ozzy calls Christian a robot, and Jeff participates in Rest Assured.
That all sounds interesting, but I'm also like Ozzy. This isn't original. You're not the first person to say that.
Yeah, well, it was mostly the Jeff Rest Assured that I was
Yeah,
referring to as finding interesting.
but a line blindside first boot. Do you want to go
Wait,
first, or do you
wait,
want me to?
hang on.
Oh, you tell me to wait so often.
I know. Well,
Quit
because you
making
keep
me
on.
wait and just do the thing already.
Well, you wouldn't stop talking for me to.
Okay, well
That's
go.
why I said,
I stop talking now.
okay. Um, I know that you said you didn't want to have an argument, and I'm not going to ask you to even reply, but I'm going to put my thing out there and reference it. I feel very vindicated by the Suri take that I made to you and Brett that the audience doesn't know about that I'm going to tell you about right now, and that Suri is controlling this game and has been the ultimate decision maker throughout. I have receipts to this. If you want to look back, let's see. Last week wasn't as much of it, but if you want to go back to the Blood Moon, um, I'm trying to even think which group. Oh, it was Colby. Suri or D wanted to go coach because Colby was going to get kicked out. Suri said no, we're going Colby. Colby goes all the way back to the week to the third episode. Suri wanted Savannah gone. Savannah goes, and I'm trying to even think of if we. That's just two of the examples that you can look towards, but Suri is the person that everybody's looking to for an answer. And whether you want to admit it or not, I think that that's what's happened.
Okay,
As I said, you don't have to respond. I just wanted to get on the record with that.
that's fair. Okay, do you want to go first with this game, or do you want me to?
Well, I don't care. You tell me.
Hmm. I'll think on the spot and come up with three for you.
Go for it.
So the first one is a name I haven't used for a while. So I'm gonna give you former FBI agent himself, or maybe not FBI, former agent of some federal agency, Philip Shepard, making his return to this game. I will give you. Hmm. There's so many players to choose from. Is the problem? Let's go with someone I don't think I've used before. Let's say Shamar from Karamoan. I don't know why I just pulled that name out of a hat.
I
That's
don't know why either, but I don't appreciate it.
it. You've got Philip, you've
Oh,
got Shamar. And let's go to the new era. And let's go with Matthew that hurt himself climbing a giant rock.
yeah. Hmm.
Who I feel like is the easy align with here.
I'm gonna first boot Shamar.
That's smart.
I hate that guy.
So did the people he was playing with.
Yeah. I'm aligning with Philip.
See, that's smart as far as beatable at the end. I don't think I could deal with being around him for 39 days.
Well, good thing we play in a 26-day era now.
No, not in this game. I always imagine I prefer 39, so I imagine I'm playing 39.
But that's never going to happen again.
It doesn't have to be realistic. I'm never going to be out there anyway.
Why not?
Eh,
Probably because you
sure.
won't apply.
I just I prefer to imagine it as 39, but the length of days is irrelevant because I couldn't put up with Philip for 26 either.
Fair enough. I'm
39
going
is just
to
more fun to imagine. This whole
I'm
game
going
is
to align.
imagination.
I am going to align with Philip, because he's the most beatable.
Yeah,
Um, and I'm going to blindside Matthew. I think that he would be the easiest to align with. I also think he'd be the hardest to beat, but I also think he's going to respect the blindside. So,
true.
what about you?
Shamar gets first booted because I just don't really know what he contributes. I don't want to deal with Philip. I can't. I would pull all of my hair out and bash my head against the tree if I had to like keep him contained for 39 or 26 days the way Rob did in 22, where you like have to keep Philip in line and keep him on track. I don't think I'm capable of that. So that leaves me to blindside him and align with Matthew and just
Okay,
see what happens.
sure.
I don't think I can deal with Philip for that long.
That's understandable. He's something, that's for sure.
Also, shout out to the fans tribe on Caramoan because they had a Sandra Bullock lookalike. I forget her name, but she looks like Sandra
Sherry,
Bullock.
Sherry
Sherry.
Beemeth or Beetham,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
Um, okay. So my three are in honor of House of Villains finale today.
Wow,
Um,
that passed quickly.
yes, I'm also very far behind, so I'm not currently caught up. But I'm going to give you the three survivors that have competed on House of Villains: Tyson Apostle, Richard Hatch, Johnny Fairplay.
Fair plays first booted instantly, which is weird because he's the only non-winner here. Normally, they're my easy first boot, but I don't want to play with him. I'm going to blindside Tyson and align with Hatch. I feel like Tyson is more like likable and endearing to people, and Hatch can
Hmm.
rub people the wrong way.
Yeah,
Not that I think we'll ever see Hatch on the show again,
no,
because during Winners at War, he basically took a flamethrower to Probst and CBS on his YouTube. So,
yeah, no, he's not coming back.
yeah. There's other reasons too, but that's the recent one that comes to my mind.
Right.
All
I,
Stars probably prevents him from coming back too in today's
I,
day and age.
I still don't know if he can even leave the country. So,
Well, there's that too. I forgot about that.
yeah.
What about you?
I'm also no, I'm gonna first boot Richard Hatch because I don't want to walk around with the naked guy, as well Friedel calls him.
What if you are the naked guy?
Trust, I'm not the naked guy.
True.
Um, I'm blindsiding fair play and I'm aligning with Tyson. The reason I'm doing that is because even if I get to the final with Tyson Apostle and lose to him, I'm okay with that. I really like Tyson. I want to spend that amount of days with him.
That's fair. Well, this was fun. Check out Pit Stop Pals Next Generation Challengers. I get mixed up between next and new a lot when I reference that show for some reason.
Yeah.
Redbubble. Hopefully, Big Brother coverage is coming back this summer. And with that being said, grab your torches and head back to camp. Bye, everyone.
See you guys.